Hey, welcome everyone. Hey, uncovering growth in life's unscripted moments means learning to find strength, resilience, and personal development in situations where there is no clear structure. Often we experience the most growth when life doesn't go as expected, whether it's a sudden change, a challenge, or an opportunity that comes out of nowhere. In these moments of uncertainty, we're pushed to adapt, reflect, and sometimes rethink our approach to life. By stepping outside of the rigid frameworks we often set for ourselves, we become more open to new possibilities and deeper insights. It's about embracing the unpredictability of life, using it as a catalyst for self discovery and transformation rather than resisting it. Welcome to another episode of The Other Side of Addiction. And we have an amazing guest with us today. We have Danielle Davidson. Danielle, thank you so much for being here with us today and taking time out of your day. And just so you guys know who this beautiful lady is, this gal does a lot in the recovery community. So Danielle is a dedicated family and peer support specialist with an extended certificate in forensic peer support. Being at an entry level position, Danielle has advanced through various roles within their agency, now serving as a valid member or a valued member of the leadership team. She is also a passionate advocate for mental health and recovery services. Danielle is a certified facilitator and trainer for QPR, which is question, persuade, and refer, and creating safety, both critical suicide prevention strategies. Their experience in peer support and forensic peer support has led to presenting to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the combined federal campaign, sharing insights on the importance of lived experiences in shaping effective support services. Beyond their organizational leadership, Danielle actively contributes to the broader community as a board member of the Utah Legal Services, serving as a client representative to help ensure equitable access to equal resources. Their dedication to advocacy continues with an upcoming speaking engagement at the 2025 Rally for Recovery, further amplifying the voices of those impacted by substance use and mental health challenges. Danielle's passion for this work is deeply personal. As someone in long-term recovery from a substance use disorder, they have experienced firsthand the life-saving impact of naloxone, a medication that reverses an overdose and gave them another chance in life. Now serving the very community that once helped save them is not just a career, it is an honor and a calling. Their journey from survival to leadership is a testament to the power of hope, resilience, and the life-changing impact of recovery. So today we are going to be discussing lived experiences because, as you heard in Danielle's bio, it's exactly what she's done. She's lived these experiences. She understands the experience. And I think that's one thing that makes the recovery community so powerful, because I would have to say probably 99.9% of the people that work in the recovery community has battled with some type of an addiction. So again, Danielle, thank you so much for stopping me and introducing yourself at the expungement event and now coming on the show. I am just so grateful to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I want to apologize for my dog.
Oh,
She usually doesn't bark, so I'm so sorry about that.
no worries.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So, I mean, we had a pretty good talk at the expungement event, which um, my good friend, Chili's Almighty, my brain is just gone right now. Um, anyway, my great friend, she puts on all her team. It's an amazing, amazing event. It brings a lot of people together, and I love things like that because it gives the rest of our community a chance to meet others like yourself and hear your story and your impact and what you are doing to change the community. And in your bio, it talks about how so many of us are out there on the streets causing havoc in our community, to now be that person that's turned around and doing everything they can to help our community.
Yeah, I experienced a lot of years of homelessness and incarceration and then out of the criminal justice system. I had over 20, I think it was like over 23 bookings in the Salt Lake County Jail for over 27 various charges. Um, I had done drug court, multiple chances at treatment, and then I continued to reoffend. And as a result of that, they didn't want to allow me to go back to treatment a third time. They wanted to send me to prison, and I got an opportunity to go to treatment a third time instead by the grace of our creator, higher power, and that treatment center for advocating for me to come back there. And so I had developed a very extensive criminal record, and Destiny with Clean Slate and Noella with Rasa Legal. They advocated with me, helped show me the expungement process. They got a few cases that were dismissed, expunged, and a couple of 402 reductions done, but I'm still a felon. And so then they helped me navigate the process to apply for a pardon with the Utah State Board of Pardons and Parole to get my full record cleared, since I'm not eligible for expungement in that way. And they've just been such a blessing in the process and such great lights in our community, and the advocacy and work that they've done to make the clean slate law go into effect, and then to just help all these people with automatic and petition-based expungements. It's remarkable, and I'm so grateful for their guidance. Right
Yeah.
now, when I checked about 2 weeks ago, I'm 13th in line for a pardon hearing. So I'm still waiting. I applied last May, and so they're backed up a little bit with everyone being so excited for it, but I'm just so grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah, it's definitely a great program. And I apologize for my mind going blank because, yeah, Destiny is just the first time I met her. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just an amazing woman. And when she told me her whole story and how all this started, it's a godsend, really. And I believe that happens so much in the recovery community. You know, we finally decide to save ourselves. And by doing that, we get some help from our higher power, whatever that higher power is for each individual out there. And it starts leading us down a path now to where we're out there doing what we can to help other individuals step into that light as well. Because as you know, living in those dark places, luckily, how my life was, it didn't go that far, but it could have easily if I would have kept going. So to hear your story and Destiny's and hundreds of others that I've interviewed, it fricking goes to show it's possible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And so just I guess with you, you just decided just one day, right? You have an opportunity of really going to prison, which would probably turn your life a whole different direction to where you go onto a different path. Was it that basically turned that light on for you just to say, man, what the hell am I doing with my life? I got to make a change. And did you drop the shovel that quick, or was it still kind of walking in that direction, but still dragging the shovel in case you needed to dig a hole deeper?
Interesting you ask. Yeah, I mean, I'd had many attempts at recovery prior, and one time I think even a little bit over a year sober, and I would invariably relapse every time and go back to use. And I'm not the kind of person that will just like pick up once or twice and be like, oh, I need help. I need to go back to treatment. Like I go all the way for 2 years. No one will see or hear from me. I'm overdosing. I'm catching charges. Like I go very hard, very fast, and I have a hard time stopping on my own. So it's almost always ended with incarceration. And almost every time in incarceration, I make these, these resolutions that like I really don't want to use anymore. And this is what I'm going to do instead. But then I hit the gates with no resources, supports, no family, in recovery or even surrounding me in this state that are of well mind and body at the moment. And so it's difficult. I was blessed to have had those experiences in recovery though, because I feel like that gave me a little bit of a kickstart this last time where I already knew a lot of people in recovery and they rallied around me. This last time when I got to treatment, I found out I was 5 months pregnant, just shy of 5 months pregnant. And I know that babies don't keep people sober either, because I had a daughter already that I was estranged from for over 10 years because of my addiction. So I don't know if it was just like this recipe of like having community support previously, having been saved by naloxone, having the judge have a little bit of faith in me, and the treatment center giving me that opportunity again, that I really didn't want to mess it up. And then to put the cherry on top there, and then now I'm pregnant, and how am I going to manage this? And people just supported me. I was offered peer support. I don't know if it was really called that yet, or maybe it was just starting to be a certification in Utah, I think, where people could be peer supports. But even prior to that, in 12-step fellowships and just lived experience folks who have gone through the process before. We had a strong alumni community at my treatment center where people would come back to meetings and meals and give us rides to activities. And it gave you a sense of hope that, like, maybe I can do it too. If they can do it, maybe I can. And that, I think, just that combination, I think the divine timing of it all, and just all of the ingredients there, put me in a direction to at least be willing enough to surrender, one, and two, put in the work to have a better and different life.
Yeah. And you said something here just a little bit ago about getting into that peer support and just finding the support that you need. And I don't know. My version of it is there's not enough of that out there. And it's very hard. It's such a fine line. And I'm talking from someone who's also been on the other side of the addiction, where I did everything I felt like I could possibly do for my ex with her battle with alcoholism. And I made a lot of mistakes at the start because I still really didn't understand addiction. It's that, why don't you just stop crap and everything all of us have gotten, right? And however, you get to that point to where you finally have to cut the cord. You finally have to pull yourself away from it. And it's hard, especially if you're a parent whose child is in addiction, to cut that cord and still give that support. It's been hard for me. However, it's after so many attempts, failed lesson after failed lesson, and I guess it's because I wasn't getting the lesson, is that I can still give support, but further away, where I'm not getting so close. Because before I was trying to keep it like this, and I've come to realize I have to take care of me and my life. However, I can still say, I care about you. I love you. You need to, I hope you get the help that you need. So did you find that the same for you with people that you were close to, like family and that, but that support that people in recovery are really, really looking for is just not all of that. It's something completely different.
Right. So I lost my mom at a young age, and my father and I have both suffered from mental health and substance use disorders. And I have siblings. I have a sister that's died of accidental overdose from huffing inhalants, and a stepbrother that passed by suicide last year, and another stepbrother who struggles with addiction. And so it's a family disease, even those we have more siblings that aren't addicts and stuff like that, but they are part of the dysfunction, and we're all part of the dysfunction in our own ways, and codependency is a big part of that, where we're trying, either fixing or trying to cover up or trying to enable, or getting angry. There's like all these different reactions that different people can have to the addict. And I had already kind of pushed everybody away before I went out using, so I had, without lack of better term, had abandoned my child, for my lifestyle. And she was living with her dad for a long time, and I didn't get to be a part of her life. So I didn't really have family or close people that I had to, like, that I felt like I was immediately letting down. I'd kind of pushed them all to the side and felt like they were better off without me. But I do struggle with what you're talking about with my parent, where we'll take turns being sober, and he'll be like, why can't you just get it? Or I'll be sober and he won't. And I'm like, why can't you just get it? And I just have, it's hard to have the compassion for your family member almost as much as you do any other person, which I find interesting, and had to work in therapy a lot on boundaries and that codependency, and knowing when I need to step back and let them have their own path, because I'm the fixer. I need to fix and try to control and, make everything better. And sometimes I'm just adding to my own resentment and preventing them from having to take accountability for their own life.
Yeah. I'm that rescuer as well. And I think that's why, well, I don't think, I know now that's why I've fallen in the type of relationships I've fallen into, and really in the past year plus, I have really, really found something pretty spectacular that I've been working on myself for the almost 17 years. And one of the things that I've really struggled with up until, like I said, a little over a year ago, is start realizing that I cannot help others the way I'd love to help them because I haven't even been able to help myself. Until I can conquer the issues that I'm having, how can I help anybody else go in the direction that they would like to go in? Whether and it's not basically pushing them towards that direction. It's just like, here's a breadcrumb, follow it. Here's another breadcrumb, follow it, because as you know, when we try telling somebody something, especially those in recovery, all they're going to do is put that wall up and shut you completely out anyway. So I have really worked hard on getting myself, and it sounds like to me you're doing the same thing, is getting yourself to where you are the healthiest as and you're going to continue to work on that, because now you can really be such a larger impact for those others who are just now opening the door and stepping through the threshold there, across the threshold.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a journey for sure.
it is. It is. And since you've been on this new path, I mean, what changes have you seen in your life?
Wild, tremendous changes, wild. It's I'm going on 8 years sober, and in that time frame, things that I never even would have assumed I was worthy of before, have come to fruition. I learned how to manage healthy relationships, how to communicate assertively, working on the boundaries still. I show up for my kids, something I never could have said for myself before. I have moved through various roles at the treatment center that I work at. It's called the Haven, and that's where I got sober. And so now I started in an entry level position, and I worked from like the kitchen to case manager to admissions, peer support. Now I did marketing for a while. Now I'm the development director. And so I've grown a career out of using lived experience, being an expert of my own story and expert of the treatment center that I went through various times. And that's benefited me in a long run in so many ways. I'm a partner that shows up today. I don't, make as impulsive decisions. I am of service to others instead of being focused on self. Yeah, remarkable changes, financial security, independence, being able to set boundaries or say how I'm feeling without fear of what might happen, or resorting to substances to try to take away whatever emotions I might be experiencing. That's all new. I still feel new at it even after 8 years, you
Yeah.
know. But it's pretty remarkable to see the changes that have happened in my life and the things that I get to do today as a result.
And I love hearing stuff like this because it's almost like we're a reborn child,
Mhm.
right? It's like everything is so new to us, but it's also so amazing. And I was talking on a show a couple of weeks ago that I remember seeing a picture of my first granddaughter, and my daughter and her are by a sliding glass door. And I think it was my son-in-law that took the picture, but it's snowing. And it's the first time my granddaughter had ever seen snow. And she's standing up and she's pressed against the window. And when I saw that, you can't really see her facial expressions, of course, but when I saw that, I thought, she probably thinks that is just something amazing. What is this white stuff that's falling onto the ground and building up on the ground? And as we start growing up and hit our teenage years and start becoming more adults and responsible with things, it's funny how we forget all about the amazing things in life and we take for granted. And we end up digging a hole so deep that by the time we get out of it, everything is so new to us, like you said, learning how to communicate and talk with others. And really the biggest thing, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but the biggest thing is handling our emotions. Because it's our emotions that put us over there before, right? Because that was our band-aid. Oh, I'm cut. Okay, I'm going to go use to stop the cut from bleeding, or so it doesn't hurt so bad, and then we start finding reasons to cut ourselves or come up with reasons so we can say, I feel like this, so I still have to go get that band-aid again.
To justify it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely justify it. And so you've probably have yourself a whole team of different type of band-aids, right? You have a whole team that when Danielle is struggling with something, she can just pick up a phone and say, hey, I need to talk.
Yes.
And it helps direct you back in that right direction.
Yes,
How
absolutely.
important was that to you during your recovery and still is during your recovery?
Yeah, it absolutely is crucial to have they say the opposite of addiction is connection. And so it started with peer support, having other people that lived the path, giving me a sense of hope, getting phone numbers. I participated in a 12-step fellowship where it was like you rely upon a higher power and you rely upon another human that you trust, or you're giving your trust to, whether you trust them or not yet. And they coach you and show you the way and teach you the principles of the program. And through that process, yeah, I learned to build a community of people around me. I remember when I got to treatment, like there wasn't a single person to call. I was never on the phone. Everybody else like fought over the phone and stuff like that, but I didn't ever have anybody to call. And now I could pick up the phone at any given moment, and I know for a fact hundreds of people would show up for me, to support me every time I've had to move in recovery, every time my child or has a birthday party. I became a grandmother the year before last. Any of these, events that have happened, like my community surrounds me and gives me strength and hope, and I'm just blessed to get to now be a dependable person to get to do that for others. Because I was a taker for a long time, and in early recovery they told me like you can't rob other people of the opportunity to be of service, because I would just be like, no, no, I'll figure it out, but that's I needed to rely upon others to start to build a foundation.
Yeah. Because we can't go through it alone, right? Even if you're in long-term recovery or not. I mean, this life is it can be troublesome. Anything can happen at any given moment. Any type of trauma could happen to us, to a family member or a friend. It doesn't matter. And that's how life is actually supposed to be, because that's what builds us, right? So what builds our strength and our character and who we become. And however, it's hard to be able to open up. And one thing that I really had a hard time with, and still to this day really don't quite understand, is I don't want to say a lot about my ex because that's her story to tell, not mine. However, all the places she went for help and all the rehabs that she went into, she had so many flippin' tools in her tool pouch, and she refused to use any of them. And I would just scratch my head because sometimes she would call me and I'm like, I'm the wrong person to call because we were still married at the time, right? You're calling someone who still doesn't quite, I don't understand addiction like an individual like yourself who's gone through it. Because whatever comes out of my mouth, it's going to be wrong. And it's like, where, and this may have happened to you. Did it happen to you to where you knew you had tools, but yet you still, like you said, maybe just didn't want to bother someone, or you just gave a self a reason to not grab that tool and use it to help you get through what you was going through?
For sure, before I got sober this last time, there was many opportunities at sobriety. And like I said, even a little bit of sobriety time, and I knew what I needed to do, but I still hadn't like surrendered to the fact that I couldn't run the show, that I needed other people's help, that my way isn't always the best way. Um, there was lots of times in my past and sometimes even in the present where where I, shame can sometimes run the show, embarrassment, fear, lots of fear, and I've seen that in a lot of other people as well, where it's either ego, fear, selfishness, just a lack of surrender, or thinking that we already know the answer, but not really necessarily ready to take the steps to get there, and we want the instant gratification of it just being fixed now without having to take all the steps in between to get to that point.
Yeah. And it seems like that's what happens with a lot of individuals that I've interviewed. It's that we want that instant satisfaction, not realizing it took us a long time to get in the hole that we dug for ourselves, and it's going to take that same amount of time, if not maybe a little longer, and sometimes it can be shorter, of getting ourselves out of it. And also, I have found, even with myself, with my own journey, my own self journey, it's that accountability, right? To be able to really open up and say, I'm a freaking asshole, and I've lied and I've cheated and I've done this, because none of us want to feel that way about ourselves. But when I finally started opening up and sharing the weight that came off my shoulder that I had no clue I was carrying for a lot of years, felt so good. And I've been able to help other individuals just by opening up and having that accountability. You actually get more empathy from people who want to reach out and help you, and you cut that carrot that's over your head. No one can dangle that carrot over your head ever again, because you're the one that brought it out.
Yeah, treatment taught me that, I think, where we were forced to live in this community of people, and everybody's kind of working towards the same goal, and everybody's in different places. We all kind of have our own backgrounds, but we can all really relate to the emotions. And it's just like having mirrors all around you of behaviors, and like we were forced to, like call each other out on these behaviors. And a lot of times it's almost just like you're looking at a reflection of like your own behaviors too. So it really brings a lot of self-awareness and accountability, and it really taught me transparency and just owning it instead of trying to make excuses or justify it or
Oh, we lost you. Oh, oh, now you're back.
did it disconnect? Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, that's okay. No worries. Don't worry. Sometimes it happens. You just, where you locked up is where you was just talking about the mirrors and actually having to have that accountability.
Yeah, and so it taught me to just not deflect or justify or try to skirt around the issue, and instead just take ownership over my own recovery and responsibility for my own actions, and to learn to communicate the accountability to others when, boundaries are crossed or things like that. And it really kind of set the foundation for that. And now I'm the first person. If I mess something up, I'm the first one to go straight to my boss or to my teammates or my coworkers or the people that report to me and just say, "Hey, I messed up. It's my fault. This is what happened." And, just taking responsibility for it. Even with my kids, I try to practice that with my kids too, just to let them humanize it a bit. I'm not perfect. I have high expectations of myself and that can bite me in the ass sometimes, but I do try to just own that, like, oops, that was my fault, and teach that it is okay to apologize and to try to change our behaviors and to not be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's no way that we can, right? I mean, we're not here to be perfect. We're here to learn, and we're here to have this amazing journey and this experience of life. That's for sure. Gosh, I had a question I was going to give you, and now I don't remember what it was. Hopefully it comes back. Um, anyway, let's move into what you're doing today. I find the word forensic peer support to be Very interesting. And the reason why is when I hear forensics, like, right, I'm thinking of CSI on TV, or it seems like there's 15 frickin' CSI type series on TV anymore. And I don't really watch a lot of those series, but I do remember when the first CSI came out, the Las Vegas one, I found it very, very interesting. And then I did Lyft and Uber for a little while, and I picked up a passenger that I was taking to the airport that was here. And they can come up with a forensic and a DNA and a profile just by getting someone's DNA off of a door handle or off a pop can or something. And so I'm,
Sweat. Hmm.
yeah. So is this what, is it similar to this, just not in such depth, or is it completely different?
It's quite different. It still, probably has its own scientific types. However, in or scientific relation, I guess.
Uh-huh.
However, like forensic social work is social workers that are working specifically with folks who are like high risk criminogenic, where they're criminal offenders. They have done time in jails or prisons and caught in charges, and navigating those systems.
Okay. So, and so almost it sounds like you guys work with a lot of people, like with what Red Barn and TOSA does, right? They pull a lot of people to keep them from doing another 20 years or something, and they're able to get them into their program and help them through that way. Because it's more of a is it more of a therapeutic community?
Yes, where I work it's similar. We do have it's kind of more of a mesh between like therapeutic community, and we also offer clinical. So Red Barn and Other Side Academy, they don't really do like medical or clinical there. It's more behavior management, where we kind of have a blend of the therapeutic community, the clinical intervention, the medical support, and peer support and case management, where all together we try to treat the whole person.
Okay. And what, I mean, with you going through a program like this, is that what got you interested in going in that direction? Because and I'm just guessing here. If I would have asked you, let's see, you said you've been in recovery 8 years, right? If I'm not mistaken. So 9 years ago, did you see yourself in this position?
I always have saw myself wanting to help others in some aspect. I did, once have like a hope to maybe help troubled youth because I experienced the system as a youth too, and in and out of the foster care system as a young child, in and out of treatment and even group homes and things as a teen. And so I did see myself maybe helping young folks, but it wasn't until I jumped and took the opportunity that I really saw how fulfilling that it could be at helping adults.
Okay, so I'm going to take a wild guess here, and I'm pretty sure I'm right because of other people that I've interviewed. Doing the work that you're doing and seeing somebody rediscover themselves of who they really are meant to be as an individual, somebody they've never really known for a lot of years. I know it has to be very rewarding because now that I'm a certified crisis and recovery coach, it's very rewarding when you see someone when that light bulb goes off, right? And you see that aha moment. However, at least it's been for me as far as doing this show and working just with a few people that I have so far. Has it grown you as a whole individual? Has it changed you? It's almost like you're giving yourself your own psychiatry treatment, but you're not because you're helping someone else. But it seems like all of those that I have met in the recovery community that is out there helping other individuals, they're like, you know what? It's helping me more than I'm helping them. And it almost sounds selfish in a way, but again, that's just how it feels that we are growing leaps and bounds by doing this. Have you found that with yourself?
Absolutely, yeah. Time has gone by and passed so quickly, and sometimes I sit back in awe of like the woman I've become or the things I've accomplished in what feels like a really short amount of time. And like I take a meeting into the jail once a week, and I leave there just feeling so fulfilled, just getting to spend time with those ladies, and similar with, mentoring other women, or even my job, peer support, or even the voluntary peer support I do and with people I know and love. Their families will call me for support when they're struggling with their addicted family member and things like that. And just, yeah, it gets me out of myself. So I'm not focused on my own problems, and creating more of them if I'm bored. But I also, yeah, I'm out of myself. I am very fulfilled by it, but I also have to continue to fill my cup in other ways outside of just that. Because while it fills you, it's also depleting you in its own like emotional or psychological taxing ways. So I do continue, therapy and stuff to process a lot of the hard things we see too. But the remarkable, the wins, there's always so many of them. Seeing people, get a driver's license for the first time, seeing somebody get a job for the first time, seeing somebody mend with family relationships that like I said, I spent a long time estranged from my daughter. I didn't get to see her until I was 4.5 years sober. And when I did start building a relationship with her, it changed my whole world, But I had, previous to getting to build with her, I had, advocated for others who were like, oh, I'm thinking about just giving up my rights to my kids, or, I don't think I'll ever see my kids again. And just letting them know, like, as long as we're still breathing, there's still hope. All we can do is be consistent. The day might come. It's on, the universe's timing, not ours. And I firmly believed that, even well knowing there's a chance I might never see her again. And I've since, built a relationship with her and gotten to see many, many women and men who once thought that they might never see their kids again to reunify with their children and get to show up for them in remarkable ways. And that's one of, I think, the biggest wins, because I know how deeply personal that was. And so, yeah, that's a pretty great thing to get to be a part of.
Oh yeah, I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine being a part of something like that. And um, I mean, in what I do, and I'll never experience that, but I could just imagine how uplifting that would be to be able to help someone in that direction. And it is so many that I've met, including my ex-wife, even has said, my life's over. No one wants anything to do with me. I'll never get to see my grandkids again, or I'll never this and never that. And I know at that time it feels like the weight of the world is on top of you. And however, you said something very key here, Danielle, and that's that it's never too late. You know, I I don't like using the word believe or believer. I want to say, so at least my version of, when you are working to do the right thing and working on bettering yourself as an individual, like you said, the universe's timing will kick in when it's supposed to, and it's going to be spot on. It's going to be the exact moment it's supposed to happen. And our life can change like that. And when we're in the depths of our addiction, our life changes like that, but it's a spiral going the opposite direction. As soon as we are able to stop that, we can actually literally reverse that and start going in a whole different direction, as long as we keep that focus towards that. And there's always going to be the challenges, right? It's not going to be easy, because I don't know how many people have said it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth
Be
it.
worth it. Mhm.
Yeah. I recently did a talk out at Red Barn a couple of weeks ago, and I opened it up for Q&A at the end. And this gentleman, he asked, he goes, have you found that your podcast, and it's like kind of what we just talked about, but he says, have you found like your podcast has helped you grow? And I'm like, yeah. And he says, well, what is it specifically that helped you get to where you're at? And I pointed my finger out to the whole crowd, right? I says, it's every single one of you individuals. Some I've not met. I met a few of you when I first came in, and I may meet some of you after the fact. But I says, it's all of you, because I get to hear all these different stories. And again, it opens my eyes, and it helps me realize how grateful I am and the journey that I've been on. And you hear other people's journey. And so many years I made that mistake of going downtown and making my smart ass remarks under my breath when I'd see an unsheltered person downtown, or see an addict walking around that didn't know where the heck they were at. And now, being involved in the community, my whole outlook on that has just completely changed. Now I'm like, what's their story? What's happened in their life to put them in this position that they're at right now? Because they just didn't pick up a needle just to pick it up one day and say, this is how I'm going to live the rest of my life. Something's caused this to happen. And it's brought out so much more empathy for me, and especially those like yourself and so many others who have lived it, and you're out there just doing amazing work.
It's quite interesting how our perspectives can shift with a little bit of understanding and knowledge and willingness to seek to understand.
Yeah. And I have to say congratulations to you. I mean, seriously, all congratulations, because
Thank you.
you're building a relationship back up with a daughter that you didn't see for a long time. You had to work your ass off for 4.5 years just to get to that point, which you've done.
Yes.
You've got yourself out there, got a great job where you're out there helping so many others. However, I just want to say congratulations too for breaking that chain,
Thank you.
because you have beautiful kids now who may or may not know what the whole story is, right? However, you've been able to break that chain because you said at the beginning of the show how much addiction is in your family.
Mhm.
You finally said, it's going to end here with me, at least on this side of it, right? I can't control the chain over here, but I'll control this one. And I'm going to freaking cut the link, and I'm going to start a new link, and it's going to be a healthier link, and it's going to continue to grow. So, congratulations for everything that you've done.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So, how do people find you? I mean, how do they find your program? If I'm a listener and I'm hearing this story and I hear your story and I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe this is something that I had, this is something I haven't tried. Maybe this is going to be that golden ticket in the chocolate bar that's finally going to get me to where I need to go. How do they find you?
So we are located across the valley. Over the last few years, we've expanded tremendously. So before we were just like one, since 1969, the Haven has been in Salt Lake City as a nonprofit. However, in the last 5 years, we've expanded to 3 residential locations across the valley. We have a men's residential facility downtown, a men's residential facility in West Jordan, and a women's residential facility in South Jordan. While we do treat a lot of people that do have that forensic background, the criminal history, the drug court, probation and parole, that's not all the people. We do serve a very wide variety of folks, different insurances. We take Medicaid, Select Health, Aetna, like we take a lot of commercial plans and Medicaid. And then we have a website called havenhelps.com, havenhelps.com. It has a lot of information on our website, our teams, who our teams are, how to access the admissions process, and we have an outpatient program in South Salt Lake where people can pop in or access the website or even call in and schedule an assessment to get determined for a level of care. We offer sober living, or also known as recovery residence, for people to transition to from residential care, help bridge that gap to independent housing and self-sufficiency. There's county grants that help fund their sober living for the first few months. If they complete the residential portion of the program, these grants will kick in and help support them in that transition period while they get employed, which is really awesome. We help folks get, a lot of our folks that come to us don't have an ID, they don't have a birth certificate, they don't have clothes, they don't have a lot of things. So we help them, get prepared to seek employment and gain some self-confidence and build these skills and help them along the path and see them through the continuum of care.
And that is so amazing that you guys do that, because as you know, there's not a lot of services out there for someone, even for those that are getting out of prison, right? There's not very many places to go to help them get their life back on track, because especially if they've been in prison for 10 years or even 5 years. I mean, life changes so quickly. The world changes so quickly anymore in like a blink of an eye. And I'm just going to say it, and I've said it before on the show. A lot of our system is set up for failure. It's to keep people exactly where they're at, and I'm sick of seeing that, and I'm sick of hearing it. In all
Mhm.
honesty, so it's great to see other individuals going, okay, enough's enough. We've got to start coming up with resources, and I know it's a fight. I know Destiny and her team has worked her butt off, going up to the Capitol and fighting for different things because it's important, it's needed. And there for a long time, everyone that I worked with was all in the recovery, all in long-term recovery. And I never saw an issue with any of them. They were there, they worked, they're honest, never stole from anything. And it's because they were just so grateful for that opportunity. And they also, it was cool because we all worked as a support group. There was many times where we got in trouble a few times because we was doing more talking about self-building than we was actually doing our job because we'd get so caught up in it, and
Yeah.
was helping one another. And the boss would come and was like, "What the hell are you guys doing?" "Oh, yeah, we got to work. You're paying us to work, not to counsel one another."
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that you talked about the opportunity. I remember the first time I was taking the company credit card and I had criminal charges relating to credit cards. And then here was this company trusting me with the company credit card to go get gas or shop for supplies or whatever. And I was just like, they trust me? Like, this is crazy. I don't want to mess this up. It just gave you this sense of hope. But you did speak about, the struggles that people have reintegrating into society from incarceration, and there is some really awesome work being done in that realm. Obviously there's a long way to go, but forensic peer support has helped tremendously. It's new to Utah. Just last year they started the first trainings in Utah for forensic peer support. It's an additional certification. You have to be a peer support specialist already, and then you also need to have lived experience in with navigating the criminal justice system, as well as working with individuals who are coming out of the criminal justice system. And Brian at Utah Association of Peer Support Specialists, Brian Nielsen, he's amazing. And
Great
he's
guy.
done
Great guy.
He's so great. He's done a lot of work in that realm. They've taken peer support into the prison. They're now certifying people in the prison for peer support and starting to build that sense of self-esteem and camaraderie and connection within the walls, instead of you waiting till somebody gets out and then being like, oh, you have to go to a program. Now they're trying to help people navigate coming out into a workforce, coming out and with skills and leadership experience, which is just so remarkable, the work that they're doing. Other parts is addressing, a forensic peer support is, instead of just letting someone out or saying, oh, you have to go to the halfway house until you get a job, they're addressing substance use disorder. They're addressing healthcare and Medicaid benefits. They're addressing medically assisted treatment, education and training, employment, housing. There's a lot of work being done. The TAM Medicaid helps through the state. It helps people get $2,000 worth of funding that will help them get into their own place, whether it's application fees or their deposit or furnishing the place. There's a lot of work being done to try to support individuals who are recovering, which I'm so grateful for, but we do have a ways to go still.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. However, though, just in the short time that I've been in this community, the top is starting to slow down. That it's not spinning as fast as it was, and it's because of individuals like you and Brian and Destiny and Tosa and Red Barn and Usara, and just there's so many now that is starting to come together, and they're slowing that top down to where hopefully with some more time, and hopefully not a long period of time, we'll start spinning it the other direction. Because it seems like to me from conversations that I've had with certain individuals that we are starting to open some ears. There are some people that sit up at the Capitol now that are really starting to open their ears and listen, instead of just having those damn blinders on. And I think what's helping too, which is sad, but in a way it's not. I think a lot of these individuals that are up there are starting to experience it in their own families. And that's what's starting to open their eyes a little bit, because those who haven't experienced it, they still live in the stigma because they don't
Mhm.
understand. They're stuck in that damn stigma um, um, cesspool,
Yeah.
instead of climbing out of it and actually listening and paying attention. Because I tell you what, the majority of the individuals that I have met in the recovery community are some of the most amazing freaking people I have ever ever had the honor of knowing. And I say that getting tears in my eyes because it's so true. It's just these are amazing individuals, and it's people who I want to surround myself with because of the energy and their outlook on life, because they've lived in the trenches, they've lived in the darkness, some for a very, very long time. They know how ugly and nasty it is. They also know more than any of us who have never experienced that, how life is supposed to be lived. And I'm learning a lot from that of going, my gosh, life is such an amazing, amazing thing to be a part of and experience. And I like to use the term shitballs. Life's going to throw shitballs at us, and
Mhm.
sometimes they're going to hit us in the face. However, that's part of our growth
Mhm.
and learning to understand that to be able to wake up every day and see the sunrise or see it snow or watch it rain or hug a friend, hug a family member, be close to a partner. It's just an experience that's so amazing. Go hike in the mountains, smell pine trees, smell the ass. There's so many freaking blessings that we take advantage of, and we don't look at it as it's anything. And really, it's a freaking blessing every single day because God could call me home a minute from now, an hour from now. I may not even finish this day. I don't know. But yet, we all live our life like tomorrow's going to be here, whether we like it or not. And
Mhm.
that's not true. We may not even wake up when we fall asleep tonight, and to know that we live that day, whether we had a shit ball hit us in the face or not, the best to our ability with a smile on our face, and we're going to learn the lesson behind it. Man, life just turns out to be so much better. And we get challenges, right? Your challenges aren't over. My challenges aren't over. So many things can happen to us. However, taking the experiences that you've gone through, my dear, and learning who you are as an individual, holy cow, man. You've got plethora of tools to go, okay, I got a tool for this one. It might hold me back for a little bit, but I'll get it out. I'll figure it out.
Definitely try not to take things for granted and to yeah, trudge through, have hope, faith, and just walk through with your head held high. It's all we can do.
Yeah. Do you have any words of inspiration to give the audience before we sign off here?
Words of inspiration.
Putting you on the spot.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would say just don't give up. There's always hope, as like you said, we don't know when tomorrow's not promised, but as long as we're breathing, that there's hope. And if you don't have any, you can borrow some of mine. And I just hope that we all continue to put more magic back in the world than we take, and just feel very blessed for the opportunity to be here with you today and to connect with you and be a part of things so much bigger than myself.
Wow, I love that. I love that. If you don't have it, borrow some of mine. That is amazing. That could be a t-shirt. If you don't have any hope, borrow some
I
of mine.
didn't make it up. I didn't make it up. I heard it somewhere.
That's
Um,
okay though, but it's amazing. I love it. Yeah, I love it. Well, Danielle, thank you for stopping me and saying hello and introducing yourself. I feel very blessed, and I don't believe in coincidences. There was a reason why all that happened, and it could be just to have you on the show and to share your story. And I hope to be able to see you again at other events. I was hoping to make the Walk to Remember up at the state capitol. I've really worked hard to be there at least the last 3 years, and I wanted to make sure I'm there every year. But I've got some health issues that I'm dealing with a leg, and I had to go get some blood work done yesterday. And by the time I got done with that, it was almost 5 o'clock. And I'm like, yeah, there's not much time left for me to go. And I wouldn't have been able to walk around. However, I still would have loved to have been there because it means a lot to me to go out there and support everyone. But yeah, I just hope the opportunity that we get to meet again. And who knows? I don't know. Maybe something will come up to where we can work together, or gosh, we've got our Healing Utah Success Summit coming up. If the Haven
yeah.
would love to be a part of that, we would love to have you. Red Barn and Tosa have been big supporters of ours, and um, I'm sure you've heard that Red Barn's going through a bunch of changes and everything right now.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're going to be on that, so we'll probably stay away from that until they figure things out. But would love to have other resources like the Haven come in and be a part of it, and
Yeah, we'd love that. Let me know.
yeah, be a part of our journey and helping other individuals. So thank you.
Yeah, it takes a village. I
It
didn't
does,
truly
most
understand
certainly.
that until I got sober.
Yeah, it certainly does. Well, Danielle, thank you again. And thank you to all our other guests and our future guests. Guys, I'm flipping shocked. This show is booked out till May, and we only have 3 spots left in May. So it's just like all of a sudden out of the woodwork, people have been reaching out going, "Hey, I'd love to be on your show. Can I tell my story?" And I'm running into people at certain places that are that it's just amazing. So we've got some really great guests coming up. I'm very, very blessed for all of you guys. Thank you again to everyone that has helped this show succeed. It's really our listeners. We are actually going on 4 years this month or tomorrow. Tomorrow is March, so I think it's around the 8th or 9th, actually, when we started recording our very first show. So 4 years this show's been going, and it's because of you guys. So greatly, greatly appreciate it. We're going to leave with this as we do at the end of every show. Remember, addiction is giving up everything for one thing, and recovery is giving up one thing for everything. We're out.